Welcome. And again, we're looking at who is Jesus, and we're in Mark chapter 12. So we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 12, and this is episode 49. Episode 49. And the first section of Mark chapter 12 is Jesus telling a story. And the story he's telling is of a man who owned a vineyard, and he plants it, he builds a wall around it, he puts in everything that's necessary for having a really good vineyard with a great harvest, and he lets it out to tenant farmers, people who are going to farm it, and when the time comes, the vineyard owner can go back and find out how much they've made and take what percentage has been agreed. And it's a good idea. The tenants were pleased. They would make some out of it. The vineyard owner would make some out of it. And everyone seemed to be agreed. But when the time came for the harvest, the vineyard owner sends people, a servant, to collect his part of the agreement. But this servant does not get treated well. And I'm going to read now from Mark chapter 12, verses 1 to 6. A man planted a vineyard, and he built a wall around it, and dug a pit for pressing out the grape juice. And he built a lookout tower, and then he leased the vineyard to tenant farmers and moved to another country. Now at that time of the grape harvest, he sent one of his servants to collect his share of the crop. But the farmers grabbed the servant, beat him up, and sent him back empty-handed. The owner then sent another servant, but they insulted him and beat him over the head. The next servant he sent was killed. And others he sent were either beaten or killed, until there was only one left, his son, whom he loved dearly. And the owner finally sent him, thinking, surely now they will respect my son. So you see, he worked through all his servants, sent them. They were either beaten or some were killed. And finally, the owner decides to send his son. Now, Jesus very rarely explains his stories, and he doesn't with this one. But it doesn't take a lot of understanding to know what he was saying. God is like the farmer who built the vineyard, and that vineyard were his people, Israel. And through the ages, God sent servants to ask for his fair share of what had been agreed. And these servants were badly treated. Some were beaten, and some were even killed. And right through the Old Testament, we see where God sends prophets to warn his people, you're not behaving the way I asked you to. You're not fulfilling what I've asked you to do. And some of these servants that God sent, some of these prophets, were beaten. And some were killed because the people didn't like what they were saying. And so finally, God decides to send his son. And of course, his son is Jesus, the Messiah. And he sends his son. Now listen from verse 7 to 8, what the tenant farmers decide about the son. But the tenant farmers said to one another, "Here comes the heir to the estate. Let's kill him and get the estate for ourselves." So they grabbed him and they murdered him and they threw his body out of the vineyard. Jesus knew what was going to happen to him. Jesus knew where he was going. Jesus knew the end game. And he asked them a question, those who are listening. "What do you suppose the owner of the vineyard will do?" Jesus asked. Didn't wait for an answer. "I'll tell you. He will come and kill those farmers and lease the vineyard to others." Didn't you ever read this in the scriptures? The stone that the builders rejected has now become the cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing, and it's wonderful to see. And the religious leaders wanted to arrest Jesus because they realised he was telling the story against them. They were the wicked farmers, and they were afraid of the crowd. So they left him and went away. Jesus actually tells them that he knows what it's all about. He knows that they are going to get rid of him. They're going to finish him off, thinking they can then have the vineyard for themselves. But the owner of the vineyard will not stand for that. He is going to come. He's going to kill the farmers who have not kept their promises, and he's going to give the vineyard or lease the vineyard to others. When Jesus died, the veil of the temple was torn right down from top to bottom. And in a sense, God broke out. And no longer was there a division between God and man. The way had been made open by the death of Jesus. And I just want to say to all of us today, the way is open. We are the other tenant farmers to which God will lease the vineyard. But we come through the death of Jesus. And we come to God today. We have a way to God today because Jesus came knowing he was going to die and make a way for us to come to God. I just want to say to anyone who's listening today, if you've never given your life to Jesus, if you've never asked Jesus to forgive you and to come into your life, there's opportunity today. I'm not asking you to become religious. I'm not asking you to join this, join that, or join the other. I'm saying to you, if within your life, within your heart now, within your emotions, within your mind, within your will, there's like a stirring where the Holy Spirit is calling you to God himself, then this is what we need to do. Pray, which is just talk to God. Tell him that you are sorry for living your life just for yourself. Ask him to forgive you for leaving him out of your life, and give him your life. He wants to give you everlasting life with him in heaven. You need to give him now your messed up life here on earth, and God will make the difference. Don't be like the farmers in the first part of the story that messed up, that killed those God sent. but be like the farmers at the end of the story who gave their lives and kept to the arrangement, the agreement with God. I pray for each of us, for myself and for you, that today we will give even more of our life to God. God bless you.